Much of the Kansas corn crop looks healthy, green and tall, even sporting a tassel. A casual observer might think all is fine, but a closer inspection reveals a different tale.
There's just not going to be much there. See, that one mostly didn't pollinate. The ones that did pollinate, a lot of them just don't have any size to them at all. There's just a few kernels on there, most of that.
Ken Wood of Chapman, Kansas, inspects his corn crop, which is declining daily.
We're in Kansas. We kind of expect it to be dry. This is a little extreme even for us.
The central Kansas grain farmer has the irrigation pivots running on some fields, but the equipment struggled to keep up during the 100-degree weather in early July.
When it's 105 or 109 degrees and the wind's blowing 20, 25 miles an hour, you can't pour enough water on it to make the corn happy.
Much of the state's non-irrigated corn is in even worse shape, as subsoil moisture was non-existent going into this year after a dry 2011.
Bad is bad. We're in pretty tough conditions at the moment. The thing is we're 5 inches behind in our rainfall for the year. So our normal rainfall is approximately 20 inches. 5 inches behind is down 15. That's right on the border of it takes 12 inches to make a corn crop. So we're right at that edge where it can be getting to very dire straits.
Jeannie Falk is based in the northwestern Kansas town of Colby, where some producers are debating shutting off irrigation pivots in some fields to save others. A trip east doesn't offer any reprieve from the arid conditions, and producers are already considering options for corn they thought they'd harvest and market.
Same story, different year. Last year we also had, we were quite dry in the southeast part of the state, and so we've it's a little bit old hat for us. 2 years in a row now we're dealing with nitrate problems in corn and aflatoxin problems in corn, and we're starting to field a lot of silage questions, a lot of emergency forage issues for our livestock producers.
While hope is all but gone for most of the state's corn, Kansas did enjoy a bountiful wheat crop that was larger than most years. Despite dry conditions this past spring and the earliest harvest on record, Kansas farmers produced 396 million bushels of wheat. That's up more than 40% from last year's drought-stricken crop, a moderate surprise despite the earliest harvest on record and dry spring conditions. But the upcoming winter wheat planting may be off to a dusty start if rain doesn't start falling soon.
Long-term data for western Kansas would indicate that soil moisture at wheat planting is a very good predictor of your yield potential out in western Kansas, and we're shaping up to have a pretty poor soil moisture situation come wheat planting.
Soybeans are holding on, waiting for Mother Nature to bring some much-needed moisture. But a few more weeks of triple-digit heat without rain could ruin that crop as well. USDA puts nearly 1/3 of the Sunflower State soybeans in the poor to very poor category.
Well, you can see some blooms trying to start there, but there won't be any pod sets, I don't think. I think they'll probably abort those pods until we get some moisture.
And as pastures dry up, so are rivers and other water sources. As a whole, Kansas is off to its 18th driest year in 119 years of record keeping. The state's climatologist adds the bigger story is the temperatures, which are already in the top 10, and that's before the traditional dog days of summer.
In Kansas, we have the potential for extreme temperatures. We have the potential for drought in any given year. And we have periods of that every year in places. We don't want to manage for the worst case scenario, but we do need to realize that potential is out there.
A similar story can be seen as you head east to Missouri, where the drought is destroying whole crops from lack of moisture.
If it doesn't rain, this is basically what it's going to be, the way it's going to stay.
The current USDA crop condition report shows nearly 60% of the corn in the Show Me state is in poor to very poor condition.
There's absolutely no corn here. It's lost all its moisture.
And dry pastures are forcing Missouri cattle ranchers to sell off their herds.
I've not got a choice. No hay handy. What there is not got any food value, so the best thing to do is to sell out downsize where I can build back.
And in neighboring Illinois, known for its corn-producing prowess, the southern half of the state is dry, and the corn crop could be a major disaster. Nearly half of the land of Lincoln's corn crop is in poor to very poor condition.
There's just no available moisture in this soil.
For 35 years, Steve Pitstick, a fifth-generation farmer, has been growing corn, and he has never seen drought like this.
The dry weather that we're experiencing right now is historic. We've had some dry years. 2005 was dry. 1988's the big one that we all talk about. 2012 is going to be probably going to surpass any of those and be the biggest historic event that we have in my career anyway. Probably on the verge of 1936, the Dust Bowl era.
Southern Illinois grain farmers say they're in for a crop disaster unless they get substantial rainfall soon. Some farmers have even given up and begun to chop their crops and bale what's left. Farmers in Madison County, one of the harder hit, fear the corn crop could be wiped out by current conditions. USDA officials peg 48% of the corn crop in poor to very poor condition. The last drought of this magnitude occurred in 1988, devastating crops across the Midwest. According to U.S. government figures, the nation's farmers received more than $5 billion in disaster relief, while the toll on energy, water, ecosystems, and agriculture rolled over $40 billion. Researchers at Purdue University say plants today can withstand drought better than they did in 1988. But no variety exists that can produce significant yields without rain for 6 weeks with sustained temperatures over 100 degrees.